Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road, and we're going to get started right away with this tutorial. This is the Age of Technology by Craft a Clock paper collection, and this is the extras to cut sheet number 2. And you fussy cut out these elements. This is the extras to cut sheet number 1 for the collection. Look at the cards. This is going to look great in this mini album. So I'm just giving you a little look through at the products we're using first. This is the sheet of decorative cards. And these sheets are individually available, these extra sheets, as well as the whole paper collection is available in the USA at the Sandpaper Road shop. And I'll leave links below where you can pick those up. The back of the packaging of this 8x12 paper collection has some tags, and oh my gosh, just look at the paper. This is perfect for a masculine album. Or anybody who's really into like grunge, rust, gears. And I really like the 8x12 set for card making and for scrapbooking. It's really easy to just fold them in half and continue to work with that size. I'm also going to be working with the 8x8 size of the same collection. And you can see the patterns are the same. They're just scaled down for the 8x8 collection. I love that. In the 8x8, you get three of each design as well. Now, the collections all come with a color palette on the bottom of the pages, and there's 21 by 23 centimeters. And you could see it's pre-measured there, 9 1/4 by 8 and what does that say? 3/16, 5/16. You can see that on the close-up. You could take a screenshot there. I wrote the measurements on the cardstock so that you'd be able to pause the video, or like I said, take a screenshot and then just have it. Now what I'm doing here on this is brown cardstock from Hero Arts, and what I'm doing is using it's a scoring tool that it's like an attachment that comes with my paper trimmer, and I'm creating the hinge binding by scoring a series of lines in this paper. If you're pretty regular to the subject of mini albums, then you know that this just is a process of creating the hinge binding. And at the time of this filming, I don't have a scoring board, so I just use my paper trimmer with the scoring attachment. Now, as soon as I get done with this process here, which just takes a minute or two, what I'm going to do is bring this closer to the camera and hand write in all the measurements directly right onto the score lines and folds, so you'll be able to see what they are. But basically, you start the first score line going 2 inches in from the left, and then you do 1/4 inch from that, and then 1/2 inch from that, 1/2 inch from that, and then back to 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. So what you're doing is creating a little area that will fold up into a mountain fold to hold each page. And that mountain fold will be 1/2 inch to hold each page. And then the gusset or allowance in between each page there will be 1/4 inch. This will make a lot more sense in just a second when I get done with this folding. Also, I have really specific, this part is really specifically outlined over on the Sandpaper Road blog. So if you're just a little bit confused, you can head over there, and it focuses a little bit more on this step of the mini album with measurements and close-up photos. But like I said, if you're familiar with mini album making, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, and there it is, 8 5/16 I can see. Now, here's where I take my pen. I'm going to write for you. There's the 2 inches to the first score line, then 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, back to quarter, half, half, quarter, half, half, quarter, half, half, and ending with a quarter. And the ending wing there is 2 inches on each end. And again, there's the measurements there for the paper. Then what we're doing is just spending some time and folding on all those score lines. Now what will happen is I'm taking some score tape. This is 1/4 inch score tape, and putting it on the back of the paper just on the 1/2 inch areas only. Now when I fold it over, I'm sticking the tape to the tape, and everything else is free of tape. And that's what we're doing. We're creating a little mountain fold there so that the 1/2 inch portions stick straight up. They're stuck to themselves in the back, and then they stick straight up on the front. And this is pretty typical for mini album construction or book construction. I did not think of this myself. There's 100 million tutorials on YouTube and things on Pinterest about this kind of binding. Now this process does take a little bit of time. So if you're trying this for the first time or even the second or third time, just be patient. It takes some practice. I still make a bunch of mistakes. As a matter of fact, in this video, I do something I probably will do differently next time. I'll tell you about that when it comes up. Also, in hindsight, the cardstock that I'm using is a really, really heavyweight cardstock right here. And I thought that that would be better for the album, that it would hold it more securely. When in actuality, it ended up cracking. And part of that is because when I was constructing the other parts of the album, I didn't leave enough room. I'll tell you all about this as it comes up. But there is my wonderful, beautiful Hinge binding, and I really like it a lot. Now, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to tip that down and start from the edge closest to me And if you are left-handed, you probably want to start with the edge that's farthest away from you. And I'm just knocking off just the corners of each one of those hinges. Really, no measurements are needed for this, just trying to make them all look even. But when you hold the next one against the first one, you can see the angle you need to cut it. They're going to get covered up anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. I'm just trying to make them just be relatively the same angle. That looks really good. It's nice and straight and nice and sturdy. Really good. I like it. Now I'm just using the outside of a Swiffer box. That's just what I had in my house in the recycling bin. I had a Lego box I could have used, or a beverage box I could have used. Just whatever you have. If you have like a cereal box or beverage box, sometimes you might need to double up. But here are the measurements. And again, you can pause the video or take a screenshot of the measurements there for your cover pieces. Now this part right there is going to line up perfectly with that middle hinge, and I did measure it like that. Okay, so just so you know, that's how that's going to go. Once we glue these down, then we'll glue that hinge right on top. But first, this is a cover, and it comes exclusive from Craft a Clock. Sandpaper Road does have some covers available in the shop. You just have to check and see which ones we have in stock. They go pretty quick. Now, the cover is not adhesive backed. It's a plain cover, and it's not a cardstock or a pattern paper cover. It is a specially treated paper, and I'm just folding it right there and creasing so I can see the middle where to put that spine piece. But they're made to add glue, tape, all kinds of things. They're made to withstand, you know, being stored on your shelf or looked through a million times, paged through, the gluing and the hot gluing and things that we do to the outside covers of mini albums. So it's a really, really sturdy paper, even though it's very thin. I don't know how to explain it, but imagine if Tyvek and contact paper had a child. That's kind of like what these covers are like. I know that's weird, but that's just imagine that's what that is. So I think what I'm going to be doing here is adding a score tape to the spine piece there in conjunction with a little bit of liquid adhesive. And just some scrap paper to thin that out. I don't want it to get all globby. I tend to be heavy-handed when it comes to, well, basically everything, so. Again, I'm trying to keep the measurements facing up for the camera, so at any time you can check the measurements. You can pause the video, zoom in, and check the measurements so you have all those. Now I did try to create a space here with a craft stick, my scoring tool, but this right here is, I think, the reason why part of the reason why my spine cracked is the space that I left here. Oh, this is just some more double-sided tape. This is actually super tacky tape from Creekbank Creations on a big roll, which I really like a lot. And then I also added some liquid adhesive here. But what I was saying is the space, see how I'm trying to leave a space there, like a significant amount of space between the middle piece and that cover piece that I'm gluing right there? Well, the amount of space that I left was different from the 1/4 inch amount of space that I left when I created my hinge. You remember when I was scoring 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, or the other way around? The other way around. Well, just eyeballing that cardboard piece right there, I should have measured, if I was going to measure carefully on the hinge, I should have measured a little bit more carefully here. Now combine that fact with the fact that the cardstock was so thick that I think when I just went to fold it, it just couldn't take it. But that's okay. It still looks fine. I did repair it with a little bit of gel medium, and it still looks fine. And it will make a great gift. I'm probably the only one that'll see that anyway. You know how you're the most critical of your own projects. So I'm just using a flat plastic piece of plastic, I guess, something, just to burnish and make sure all the bubbles get out of the my glue job here. And the outside of the paper, isn't that so cool? It just will go perfectly with this album. It looks like I glued the one upside down with the measurements, but it won't matter either. So here's what I'm going to do is take my ruler and draw a diagonal line here. I'm going to cut off some excess. Now, mind you, I should have done that a little bit farther away from the corner. I mean, even if it was like a 1/16 of an inch, just a little bit farther away than what I did, 1/8 of an inch. I really only left enough room as the pencil led, which I cut it just a little bit too close to the corner just for my own personal preference. These corners that I'm cutting off, I'm going to save, and you'll see why in a minute. I really enjoy using the cover paper. It makes life so easy. You don't have to put paper together to create a nice outside cover. It just makes life really easy. I really like it a lot. This part can be a little bit tricky just based on the size that I chose for my cover. This is the large size paper cover, and as you can see, the cardboard that I'm using is pretty close to the top and bottom edge, which just means I don't have much to fold up. So it's not a problem. It's just not as comfortable. If I would have just made it maybe, I don't know, 1/2 inch shorter, I probably would have been a little bit more comfortable. It turned out fine. There's no issues, but yeah. So I'm going to add some score tape there, and I think I do add some liquid adhesive as well on top. I think I'm just paranoid that all of a sudden I'm going to be looking at this album and enjoying it, and then all of a sudden it's going to like just fall apart. But if you add that score tape with liquid adhesive, you're pretty good to go. And anytime you're adding liquid adhesive, you're going to have a little bit of resistance to stick right away. It's not like just double-sided tape where as soon as it touches something, it's stuck there. Now this, you're going to have to burnish, make sure the bubbles get out. You're going to have to wait a few minutes, put a heavy object or two on top of it. I just use acrylic blocks usually because I have them sitting right there. But while that's drying, then I work on the other side and do the same thing. So I'm just continuing to work on the flaps here of the cover, adding the double-sided tape, also with a combination of liquid adhesive. And I find it really helpful. Did you see how I scored there, or like pushed up from underneath with my scoring tool? That really, really helps a lot. It provides a really, really good smooth fold line. And yeah, see how I'm doing that? I also have some scrap cardboard nearby that I always rely on. And like I said, with the heavy-handed of the glue, I mean, my goodness. But yeah, some scrap cardboard, a little just wipe up cloth or rag to use. And you've got a really nice cover there. Folds over nice. I love the way it looks on the sides. Really, really nice. Now, remember those corners that I cut off? Okay, well, on this particular cover paper, there's a line that goes across one edge. So I'm going to take the two corners with that same line and line them back up, and take the other two corners and put them down there. So I'm going to use liquid adhesive, glue them down onto the cover, and that I will do off camera so we can get, because you don't need to watch me glue that down. Now this is the part that I said I would tell you about later. I was using this roll, and I love this super tacky tape. It's really convenient. And the way I used to make mini albums was I would just glue down just the middle part of that hinge first. Then once it got stuck and good, then I would go back and add adhesive to like the wings, right? Well, this time I thought, now why would I do that? Why don't I just put adhesive roll on the back of the whole thing, and then I'll add liquid adhesive on top. It'll be nice and strong, and then I can do it on one-stop shop. Well, I thought that that would save time and be easier, and actually it did the opposite. So, I mean, look at that. Doesn't it look like it would be a better idea? But sometimes in your head, the thing you think is going to be a better idea actually isn't, for a really weird reason. But you only really learn that when you try. So hopefully you won't have to try. Hopefully you could see what happened here, and then you'll understand what the situation is. What needs to happen is I need to be able to secure the spine and then fold up the cover slightly to secure the wings. But I can't do that when the whole thing is sticky and gluey. And it was just the end result turned out fine, but just process-wise, truly and truly, what I should have done was put tape on just the middle part, the part with the hinges, and stuck that down to just the middle part of the cardboard. Because see, I still try to do that anyway. I still have to try to line it up with the middle. But the problem, because the whole thing was sticky and gluey, is now I still had to try to fold it up like I normally would have, but everything was sticky and gluey, and it created a lot of hassle that wasn't necessary. So, word to the wise, just do just the middle part of the spine first, and when you get that good, then even though you have to kind of reach around and it might seem a little bit awkward to, pull off backing tape or whatever, do wait until you get that spine part adhered before you do the wings. And what you can do instead is just use smaller width tape. I didn't have to use that big roll. I could have just used the 1/4 inch tape or even the 1/2 inch tape that I already had and put the whole back on, but then I could have taken off the backing paper of just the spine part, put the spine down, and then when that was good, then taken off the backing paper for each wing one at a time. I wonder if maybe that's why my cardstock cracked also. So here I am just making sure they're secure. And again, it ended up to be fine. It was just the way I did it was sort of the long way around. So yeah, hopefully when you do this, then, and maybe you've already tried this yourself and you're smiling because you've probably done that yourself until you learn the hard way. But oh well. So I'm burnishing this down. Everything looks fine. You can still see some leaks of the cardboard out from the sides there, but that's okay because we'll put a piece of pattern paper over it, and we'll also be covering up the wings as well. And here I'm still just making sure that looks good. Now, see how you can still see where I hand wrote the measurements there? Even in between the little hinges. I thought of something to cover that up. I didn't even realize it was going to be still showing. I don't know why I didn't think that, but yeah, so wait till you see what I did. It was sort of an accident, but as usual, right? So I'm just choosing a piece of this 8x12 paper because it fits perfectly with the way the book fits. So I'm going to fold it in half and then just cut right on that fold line and then just glue down 1/2 to the inside of each cover there. And it will cover up the cover parts that we couldn't get covered, and also it'll cover up the flaps, just like so. And that's how I'll glue that down. Again, really, you could do this. I'm showing this with the Age of Technology paper collection, but there's so many beautiful collections by Craft O'Clock. Definitely check them out in the Sandpaper Road shop. There's different covers that you could try this with, different papers. You know, using the 8x12 paper and the 8x8 paper with a cover and a piece of cardstock and some adhesive. And so definitely check out the selection over at the Sandpaper Road shop, especially if you live in the USA. That looks so good. Really, really nice. Now, there is a sheet of quotes that I forgot to show at the beginning of the video that it coordinates with this paper collection. And I cut up the quotes, and what we're going to do is, yeah, that looks really good. Just like that. That looks great. Now, in there, we still have the writing. That's what I'm pointing out. So there's some of the quotes from the quotes sheet. And again, because they coordinate with the Age of Technology paper, if you're looking for them in the shop, in the Sandpaper Road shop, they're with the Age of Technology paper as one of the options. So what I'm actually going to do is glue a quote there, a little sentiment, little quote to the inside of those hinges, just to, honestly, just to cover up my handwriting. But truly, as I was doing it, I thought that's kind of a good idea. I should have done that with some other projects, and I might continue to do that in other projects. Just put little like secret hidden things in the spine there, like in the binding. It's not going to be something that jumps out at you that you see first thing, but as you're looking at the album, when it's finished, you'll be like, oh, look, a little saying. And yeah, so So this video is all about just the outside cover and creating the hinge and getting ready to create the album itself. So definitely make sure that you tune in to part 2 of this 6-part project series. And you can check the description box for links below to the Sandpaper Road shop and to the blog for detailed measurements and to pick up the Age of Technology paper collection. This looks great so far. Thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for part 2.